We knew we had to get out of Germany, but it wasn't easy. Every day, people disappeared. Friends and neighbors disappeared, and we never saw them again. They stamped the words Sarah and Israel on our passports, identifying us as Jews. It was very difficult to leave. We had to put our names in a lottery. And when our names came up, our number came up, we would be allowed to apply for an exit visa. And once we got the exit visa, then we had to find someone in America that would sign an affidavit saying that they had enough money in the bank to take care of us in case we couldn't find a job or we couldn't work. And the tickets had to be paid for in American dollars. We waited a long time. It took us over 5 years in order to leave. And during that time came the most terrifying night of our lives. November 9th, 1938, Kristallnacht. Crystal night in English, which sounds pretty. But in German, it meant the night of the broken glass. German thugs and hoodlums went on a rampage, and they destroyed over 7,500 Jewish businesses, schools, hospitals, and cemeteries. Hundreds of synagogues were burned to the ground, while the police and fire stood by to make sure that no German and Christian businesses and churches were burned down. It was a terrible night. They rounded up, they killed 100 Jews, and they rounded up 30,000 Jewish men and put them in concentration camps, prisons, and jails and forced labor camps. My husband and I cowered in our small apartment, listening to the police sirens and the screams and the breaking glass. And then in the middle of the night, the phone rang. It was my mother. She was hysterical. She and my father had stood watching their synagogue burn to the ground. And then they took my dad away. They took my father away. My big, strong Papa, I couldn't believe it. I said, Mutti, I will come as soon as I can, and I will find Papa, and I will bring him home. The next morning, I boarded a train for Boynton, my hometown, which was near the Polish border, a couple hours away. And all the time while I sat in that train, I thought about my Papa. He was big and strong and tall and handsome. And Kaiser Wilhelm himself had given him the war medals for his bravery. He was proud to be German, even though Germany lost the war. When I got to the train station, at first I didn't see anything wrong. But as I got off the train and started walking to my neighborhood, I could see the devastation. There was the kosher butcher shop. It was nothing but a gaping hole. And the corner fruit market, the glass was all broken. And the same thing with Mr. Rubenstein's dress shop. And even the bakery, where Mrs. Goldberg used to give me a cookie when we'd come for bread and I was a little girl. They were just destroyed. And then I came to a huge pile of smoldering rubble. A beautiful synagogue was gone, simply gone. The twin arches, the twin columns and the beautiful arches, gone. When I reached my block and came to my father's shoe store, the glass was all broken, counters were turned over, shoes were strewn everywhere, and on the walls in yellow, bright yellow paint were written the words, Jude, Jude, Jew, Jew. I climbed the stairs up to the apartment above the shoe store and let myself in. My mother was cowering in a corner. She was huddled and a glazed look in her eyes. I went up to her and wrapped my arms around her and said, Mutti, I will find Papa. I will bring him back. It'll be okay. I went into my parents' bedroom and I pulled out my father's bottom drawer of his dresser. And inside were the 2 black boxes that held his medals, right where I knew they would be. Inside one was the Hindenburg Cross, and the other one, the Iron Cross. I put them in the pockets of my coat, and then I buttoned my coat, and I straightened my hat, and I squared my shoulders, put on a fresh coat of lipstick, and I marched down the stairs and walked the 3 blocks to the Gestapo headquarters. I pushed open the heavy wooden door and walked inside. There was a soldier standing at one end of the lobby at attention, and as I walked up to him, he clicked his heels and raised his hand and said, Heil Hitler! I said to him, my father, they took my father last night. There's been a mistake. He's a German war hero. I must see your commandant. The soldier looked me up and down, gave me a smirk, and I could feel my hands begin to shake and my knees began to knock and my throat became dry and I was scared to death, but I looked at him and I didn't turn away. Finally, he opened up the door behind him and let me into the commandant's office.